15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Mike Rashid. This is the Lions, Owls, and Elephants podcast with a special guest, my brother.
19 Keys, man. It's a blessing to be here, bro.
Yo,
again.
We are blessed to have you.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Party Torbati.
Sean Torbati.
That's what's up.
Here in the middle.
Is it, now that you're a married man, are you still Party Torbati?
I'm still Party Torbati.
All right.
Yeah. I still got it in me.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I save it for Saturday.
Okay, so, I guess since we didn't talk about your wedding.
Yeah.
That's a hell of an accomplishment. Your wedding was like a movie.
Yeah, it was.
I have to say this, bro, for real. It was what you see on TV.
Yeah.
But it was real. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
It was like anything real, it had like things that we had to overcome and obstacles and things that weren't ideal. Yeah. But at the end of it, you don't remember any of that. You just remember how amazing it was.
You can't tell that there was anything like that.
Yeah, no. Only people who was behind the scenes like us would know the things that weren't ideal.
But the things that were not ideal, according to you, it wasn't even that bad. It was nothing really.
Yeah, well, it could have been. It could have been. You know what I mean? If things didn't fall into place the way that they did.
Right.
Like my priest was late.
Yeah.
Mike was within minutes. Mike was within minutes of having to officiate the wedding.
Yeah,
like literally, he was like, all right. He was planning how he was going to conduct the wedding because it's time for the wedding. Priest not there, just not present. We like don't know where he is.
It's late.
Late.
Yeah. Ain't that a sin or something?
Yeah.
It should be.
He rolled up. This guy was out of a movie.
Yeah, he looked like he was from a movie for real. But I was a little butthurt that he showed up. I like.
Yeah.
You wanted to
I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I was ready.
Yeah.
It was already. I was ready. Yeah. Keys, you see yourself getting married?
Yeah. Yeah. The idea of marriage, I think, is an important institution. Mm-hmm. I think, beyond nation building, beyond bringing families together, beyond like bridging time together by saying that, we are committed to this. I think also just the opportunity to discipline yourself in commitment. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's important for men to go on that journey. And I think that, we've gotten away from self-control. We've gotten away from the challenge of being able to condense our energy and hold ourselves true to commitments. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's a necessary component of life. It's a rite of passage, you understand me, that I think develops human beings to becoming gods. You know what I'm talking about?
That's very interesting. You say today's the 23rd, do the math, 2, 3 is 5, power and refinement. And you said commitment, right? Disciplining ourselves for commitment. And that is having a certain level of power, but being refined. Mm-hmm. That's the goal, right? Sean and I talk about this. It's like sometimes being strong is using restraint, and commitment is that form of restraint.
It's a bond. You holding yourself to a commitment, saying that, okay, I control my will, right? And not just for now, but over time. Mm-hmm. You understand me? And which makes you a master of self, because one who is a slave doesn't control their mind or their will. Mm-hmm. So if you can say, for the rest of my life or for the next 10 years or 20 years or to the end of this thing, that means that I have decided to master myself and control myself, right? So it's an honorable thing, you understand me, indeed, for any man to make a commitment and follow through with it.
Mm-hmm. And once again, it goes into that honor, being honorable by honoring our rules, and that's the best thing ever. I feel like the most charitable thing that someone can do for someone else is to just be honest with them. For that person to count on them to always be 100%. Like, that's just the best.
Yeah.
Nah,
honesty, man. Honesty requires a level of courage. And that's probably one of the most beautiful aspects about it, because you learn a lot about yourself. If you get to a point where you don't want to be honest about something, you have to ask yourself, what is that limitation? What is that insecurity? What am I afraid of? You understand me? Because for the most part, you know, all your fears are false. Once you say it, it makes you stronger. It releases whatever you was holding you back, and it allows you to have this opportunity for growth. You and whoever or whatever you're being honest about, or whoever you're being honest to. So honesty provides the opportunity for growth. You understand me?
Nah, for sure, man. And fears being false is so real because, you know, a lot of information that I talk about, that I give, is based on my life experiences, and I've experienced a lot of fucking life, right? And even when I was young, I've been through a lot, right? But, you know, when I was young, I was afraid, right? And fear is a form of intellect, right? But with age and with experience, you gain more intellect and more wisdom. And I learned that the things that I feared were not scary. You know what I mean? Because I don't know how I got to this point, but when I was young, I got to a point to where, because, you know, there was no real bullying epidemic when I was growing up. Kids were just assholes, you know what I'm saying? Like they are now. And I was the recipient of asshole behavior, right? Because I was skinny. I looked like a little sweet kid. So I fought a lot, right? So I had no fear of my bullies no more, or the bigger kids. And I realized the bigger kids couldn't even fight. Because everybody was scared of them. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow. So those big kids or those bullies, you know, that's the same as like impediments in life, problems in life, shit we got to face in life. Just go deal with it. And it ain't that bad.
Yeah.
You break that shit down.
Do you guys think that there is any more or less bullying now than there ever was? Or is it the same and then we just know about it different because of social media?
I think there's less fights now. And which means that there's less people standing up to what they're considering to be bullying. Like, once you fight the bully, he's no longer a bully. You know what I'm saying? It's a fight now. And I think that there's too many people who are normalizing being bullied.
Yeah.
And when I say fighting, it's more so just addressing the thing that's bullying, because we get bullied in all sort of manners. Anything we don't stand up to bullies us.
Yeah.
So I think that if we re-normalize, like, no, somebody did something to you, well, then, you know, it's reciprocation for each action.
Right.
Because I said it before that, you know, if a person is bullying you, whether they're speaking ill on you, harassing you, or physically harming you, you understand me, whatever it is, the moment you stand up to that bully has to make a decision. Do I want to fight this person again? You understand me? And then it no longer becomes fun for the bully. Well, damn shit, every time I talk to him, I got to scrap. So let me just leave bruh alone. You understand me? And then you had opportunity, 50-50, you might even win. Right? And so 9 out of 10, once you beat up the bully, you get respect. You understand me? And so bullying is a rite of passage, right? Because otherwise we get bullied by everything we fear.
Right. And I don't know if it's more now than before. I really don't know. I don't know the data. I don't even know how they would accurately track that. But I do know that it's more in our faces because of all of these bully campaign. Like the most terrifying thing when I was growing up was having a fight at 3 o'clock when school's out. Have a fight.
It's like meet me outside.
Shit.
Yep.
And I always showed the brave face. I was terrified. You know what I'm saying? Lord, please let him just go home. I hope that the kid go home, whatever, but we had to scrap. And it was not that bad. Like, no one ever got hurt like that. You know what I'm saying? Kids fight, they get into it, whatever. We got to figure life out. Now, I don't think that to teach children or anyone that you resolve conflict with violence, right? That is an option once everything else is exhausted and we can't come to common ground. And yeah, we have to shoot a fair one. But, you know, when you're that young, you don't have those mental faculties to be able to try to let's talk about this.
Yeah, you don't have conflict resolution skills whatsoever.
Yeah. And you fight enough, you're like, yo, I don't want to keep doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you figure out other ways. But I think a fight is healthy. You know, I know people are gonna look down on that, but this was crazy. When my son was in 6th or 7th grade, and my son was very similar to me, like just didn't look like a tough kid. But he's a tough kid. He can fight. Like he boxes, he spars high level people, But I'm not trying to push him to compete because I want to. His brain is his best asset. You know what I'm saying? I remember my cognitive decline from one too many concussions. You know what I'm saying? And he don't need to, but nonetheless, it was important for me to teach him how to box and get him competent at that, so he has some confidence and self-esteem. So a kid was fucking with him, tried to pull his backpack over his head, was doing it to other kids, and Elijah pieced him up, beep, 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 right? He gets in trouble. I said, what's going on? I read the paper, he tells me what happens. I call the school, like, why are you giving him a suspension? Well, he was in a fight. I said, but you are aware that the other kid provoked it, right? Put hands on him, right? Yeah, but we have a zero, what was it called? A zero
tolerance?
Self-defense. Oh. Zero tolerance for self-defense. I'm like, this is bizarre.
That's not even legal.
I went through the school student manual handbook, right? They have, this is crazy, they have protocol for teachers to defend themselves against children, substitute teachers to defend themselves against children, but children can't defend themselves against children. I said, son, never start a fight. You try to avoid it at all costs. But if someone's in your space, you do what you got to do, and you're not going to get in trouble. So tell your teacher that. So, I don't believe in that. But yeah, they teach this weird, soft type of, it's fair. Listen, if you hit me, I get to hit you back. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's as fair as fair gets.
It's as fair
I
as
get
fair
to use
gets.
Croc McGraw on your.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's actually not even. That's not even because once you hit somebody specifically unprovoked, you should get double. You understand me? Because you disturbed a person's peace.
Yeah.
Physically, now you forcing them to have to do something
this.
and violent. So that it's not even fair to eye for an eye. It's fair I take two of your eyes for fucking with one of mine.
And you pay me.
Yeah.
And you give me your lunch money.
Yeah.
You know
that don't make sense.
But no, I do not advocate violence, but violence is a huge part of society. And hell, I don't advocate it, but the media does.
Yeah.
The media advocates violence.
America is built off war, violence, guns, capitalism, all nothing but violence. You know what I mean? And the pride that people have living here in this country, you cannot not advocate for violence. You understand me? Because that's how people believe we get the freedoms that we enjoy.
That is how we got the freedoms that we enjoy, through violence, through means of violence. And listen, it was interesting when, like last year, when you had all of the protests, the George Floyd stuff, Ahmaud Arbery, and people were like, white people, and they were like, and I'm not saying this for no division, separation, I'm just saying facts. What I observed on social media and people that I knew, they were so like, why would you do this? Like, riot. I'm like, listen, this is a symptom of a bigger problem. Mm-hmm. Can we talk about the problem?
Right.
You're talking about a small byproduct of this man getting killed with no recourse. And we talked about this before, but had it not been blasted on the media, the shootings, the killings, those guys probably would have never been brought to justice.
Yeah.
Because I be trying to tell people, when you saw that video, that's not when it happened. It happened months before that. Mm-hmm. So why now? Yeah, now y'all outraged. Should have been outraged before. You know what I'm saying? So listen, when like a child, like a baby's crying because he can't articulate, he can't get through to his mother like, yo, I'm wet. Or I shit it. I shot myself. So he's like, yo, why? Do something. Like, help me. It's the same with people. People like, yo, can y'all please stop?
Yeah.
Can y'all please put me in terror? No. I'm sick of this. Fuck it. Bow. And not funny, but the interesting thing about it, one of my favorite movies, Do the Right Thing, which is a movie it's like 30 years old. The same thing happened in that movie because it just depicts things that have not changed.
Bro, well, it goes back to the bullying thing. Black people have allowed themselves to be bullied for far too long. And then each time you have somebody who we consider to be a leader try to teach us how to defend ourselves,
take them out.
You understand me? He get taken out, and then the bullying starts all over again.
Right.
So it's like at some point in time, you have to go on the offense. You understand me? Not even to be defensive, because that just puts you back in the same position to be bullied, because it means that you didn't learn from the past. You didn't learn from those mistakes, right? There's a saying called Sankofa, and in Ghana, it essentially means that you look back while moving forward, right? You make sure you ain't miss nothing. right? But you're still making progress. And that's something that I think that we need to have at the center of our hearts and mind, to constantly remember what happened yesterday, so we don't need the same thing repeated every time. Like, Black Lives Matter is not currently in the news right now trending. I'm sure there's some incidents with the police that are happening right now, not on the news. It's not their cycle right now. Right now, we got the Haitians in the news. You understand me? The Haitians have been bullied for 200 plus years for winning their own freedom and independence, right? And I talk about this all the time, because if the Haitians were to be a wealthy country and a wealthy nation today, they will be a representation, a symbol, and a story of Black revolution. Because then you will have somewhere to point to as a story you would tell to children and adults to be like, look, Haiti did it. This is what we need to do. This is how they got their independence, freedom, and wealth. So white supremacy needs to consistently tax and punish and bully Haiti, so they never become that type of metaphysical symbol for us to project ourselves and uprise and take that same example.
That's so true, bro. You laid that out perfectly. And here's the bizarre thing about it. And for those who don't understand what we're talking about, Haiti is the Caribbean is one of the first stops of the transatlantic slave trade, right, where work was being put in. And Haiti, of all places, was one of the most harsh conditions, right? They had so many Africans there because the turnover rate wasn't I quit, it was I die, right? It was so vast, right? They was dying because I think sugar was the main export from Haiti, and the leaves slice your skin, in the sun, and then the fire ants, and the conditions were very harsh, and they died early a lot. So there's a lot of people there. So they got tired of the shit and fought for their freedom. The slave revolt in Haiti was the only successful one, and they won. They beat the French. But before the French, they helped France beat the British in Spain. You know what I'm saying? So they finally beat the French, and then France came back, went reloaded, came back, battleships, cannons aimed at them, like, all right, pay us this tax, or you'll never be recognized as a free nation. You know what I'm saying? The fee was so vast that it barely got paid. 10 years ago, finished paying, 20 years ago, something like that, like recently. And this is from 200 years ago.
They paid France reparations for their own freedom. So you have to pay me for you not working for free no more for me. It's egregious. There's not even a word. I feel like there's not words to quantify how heinous and evil, right,
and unfair the treatment for a lot of dark people across this world have been, especially right there in Haiti. Haiti is right next. It's an hour and a half flight from Miami.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful island. We've been there. It's absolutely gorgeous, right? No aid, no help, no nothing.
And that's that money that was paid as these fees for their own freedom is the same money that would have and could have and should have been used to build an infrastructure.
Correct.
The
Absolutely.
highway system we enjoy
Correct.
here, the power grid that we enjoy here, the defense programs that we have here in the U.S., those are things that they would have had. So when people try and downplay the significance of this heinous fee that had to be paid, and then the U.S. bought that debt at some point,
Right,
we learned
and made money
in order to continue, like you said. And I really, until this moment, haven't heard it put that way about how important it was to these circle of white power countries or Caucasian power countries to not allow Haiti to flourish in the way that it may have done if it was left to its devices.
Absolutely.
Because then it could be pointed to as that symbol. Because it really is that symbol anyway.
It is.
Because the things there that we've seen with our own eyes, they can't be undone. And it's just a matter of time for people to learn about the magnificence of those people and their land and what they've done to really understand what could happen anywhere in the world if people unite and bring their powers together.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It's incredible. What we saw with our eyes, that the building that was constructed, not just Christoph's Palace, but then the Citadel.
The Citadel.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable.
So this Citadel, it should be one of the ninth wonders of the world. Like, it's really, so it's way up in a mountain, this fortress that is incredible. And then the hike up there was rough without carrying anything, right? Like, most people rode horses up there. I walked, and it was fucking rough. And these people built this fortress up there. You know what I'm saying?
And the materials weren't occurring up there, so they brought them all.
They had to bring it up there. You know what I mean? So That's up there, in my opinion, with pyramids. When you actually see it, we flew over it too, and the pilot was nice enough to circle it so we could really get a good look at it. Incredible, bro. Never heard of it. I never heard of it until that day. That's a shame.
That's the beauty about the you got his story, then you got our story, right? Our story is just the story of time. His story is a story based on the wars that he won and the conquering of people and being able to project that to control the narrative so that you have consistent power and project more power into the future. It's indoctrination. But when you talk about what is the actual world itself, what is the planet, right? You go through all different type of parts of the planet and you find wonders. You talking about 7 wonders, 9 wonders, 10 wonders. There are so many wonders on this planet Earth. Who decides which ones make the list? You understand me? Right. So it's like, in most of the time, you're gonna go to melanated people. You're gonna go to all sort of different things because once you go into history, if something doesn't fit into the narrative of the scientific paradigm, they will disclude that and set it in this black box and say that it doesn't fit. And until we can find it fit, we just won't add it into the story. We won't put it in the history books. We won't tell nobody about it. So it's like history is created to control. You understand me? And the world map is to create it so that it can be owned by those people who are actually able to create the historical typography, you understand me, that are in people's mind on how we view and perceive things. But
absolutely,
in reality, the world is amazing, and we have not experienced it through our own lenses.
It's interesting as you speak of like the world map and these things, and it's like, and the people who's telling the story, it's amazing, man. Like, I have to give it to the Europeans through colonization to now. I give it to them. What they pulled off was remarkable. It was evil, but it was remarkable, right? And they pulled the wool over our eyes so vastly. For one, we're called minorities, right? And we're not. Like, here's the thing. Whatever you want to call people on census papers is whatever. But when you look at somebody and see, or if you're black, she's black and he's black, you know what I'm saying? It's the majority of the people on this planet. You look at South America, it's mostly black people, dark people. You look at, of course, Africa, India, you know what I'm saying? All of these places with vast numbers of people. And it's funny because even on the map, they make South America look smaller than Iceland and Greenland. Greenland and Iceland are tiny. South America is huge. So they position all of these countries to look, these are smaller, these are bigger, when it's not even accurate. And people are so, information. Let's say Haiti, for instance. Haiti has no infrastructure, right? No real good Wi-Fi. Most of the country don't have electricity. Like, people are they have their solar panel chargers so they can have music and stuff at night and little TVs at night, right? So they're cut off from information. And, it's like that in lots of places in South America, Africa, India, China, whatever. And it's like the people there that may be of the majority have no idea. It ain't many of us, you know what I'm saying? And we're treated like shit, you know what I'm saying? And then, the years and years and years of like the mental beatdown that, dark-skinned people have endured, like, we're worthless, treated like that, you know what I'm saying? People don't, and it's not, I don't want anybody to confuse this with a victim mentality, but there's a lot of people that have been victims in this world, you know what I'm saying? And it's all right to talk about that so we can observe, pivot out of that, and get on a trajectory.
Well, at the end of the day, not to cut your wisdom, but it's only observed as a victim mentality truly when black people talk about their reality. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Any other time is just history.
It's never forget.
Yeah, it's only when we talk about it, and it's only because people feel so guilty because they benefit from the things that we talk about that oppressed us. So it's like, you won't allow me to benefit, to exist and enjoy my privilege if you keep talking about how it was built in the first place. You understand me? And how you were robbed from it. And so the issue that we have, as a people more so, is not about, like I said, you look back, but while you move forward, right? You don't get stuck there. You only look back to make sure that you learn from those things while you consistently moving forward. And that's how you consistently learn. But we need, of course, education is number one. Family, you understand me? These are institutions, right? We need the proper financial education, because even if a person can speak, to be literate, you have to read and write, right? Not to just speak it. And our people are completely illiterate, but so is most of America, right? 50+% of America is financially illiterate, which means that even though most people go through education, they don't get a financial one. In a country that's based on capitalism, everybody should get a financial education. And so once you don't have these institutions, plus you couple that with the pre-existing issues that exist, right? The lack of education, the lack of political power, the lack of organization, the lack of family structure, food deserts, crime rates, and a multitude of other different things. You have people that are trying to, get themselves back together, but then you don't even have people to give them access to the proper information on how to do it. And then when there are people that rally to organize, they're usually taken out, or they lack the resources to do it on a large scale. Because all around America, you can go find really good Samaritans that have amazing products that are helping, or programs rather, that are helping people, but they just haven't reached mass proportions to where they're getting hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in funding.
Right. And I hate to make this episode seem so dark and glum. I really do.
Yeah.
But it's certain things that I just can't help. I mean, we have a platform, and it's my duty to talk about certain things that some people may not be aware of. And it's like, and you said something that made me think about how when people are organizing to create some kind of movement that will help people, if it ain't the right people getting helped, it gets shunned out, right? And one, for instance, is Minister Farrakhan, right? So I've been to different churches. I went to Catholic school. I've been to the mosque. I've been to the Orthodox mosque. I've been to the Nation of Islam mosque, all this, right? And I observed, right? And I was always a bright kid. So I wasn't some dumb kid just sitting around not knowing what's going on. And one thing that I observed, I talk about what I observed in the church. It was always kind of uncomfortable, right? Because you felt you had to dress nice. You know what I'm saying? You felt judged, like people looking at you. People got the nice shirts and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I used to think like, damn, like what about people who can't afford nice shit? They might not feel comfortable to come here. You know what I'm saying? And I have read the Bible. I read the Bible and the Quran. And in the Bible, there's a lot of the way that Jesus is talked about and described in the Bible. I didn't see that anywhere in any church. You know what I'm saying? I seen a preacher sitting on a throne and his minions or deacons sitting under him. And then the crowd, the kingdom, you know what I'm saying? Who keep that man rich. And I always I'm like, this don't feel right. You know what I'm saying? And then, excuse me, and I went to Catholic school. And the fathers and the brothers, they had a vow to celibacy because they married God. And the sisters too, the nuns. And I'm like, as a kid, I'm like, how can he give me advice on like when I want to get married if he don't deal with women? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we know all the other weird stuff that's happened under that flag. And then in the Nation of Islam, this is what I saw. An activity called fishing. You know what fishing is.
Absolutely.
So his brothers go out, and it's like missionaries. They're going out with the newspaper, with products, bean pie, whatever, which is incredible. Whatever, selling it, right? Because you gotta fund the movement, but also trying to find lost souls, trying to save lost souls, right? So they're out there building they're in the slums. They're not in a nice neighborhood like Jehovah's Witness, no knock to them. But it ain't that. They in the hood, in the slums, right? And let me tell you what the presence is like. All these men suited and booted, suits, sharp. It made kids in the neighborhood like kind of pull their pants up and act right. You know what I'm saying? Like you just feel a need to like, nobody's intimidating them. And they're not coming through with guns or anything. You know what I'm saying? But they would talk to people for real. And people want that. People desire that, right?
Absolutely.
People don't want to be stuck in the muck. They want to get out of it. So sometimes you might get the right person, could communicate to you the right way, and then he got you. So this is what you see. Later that night, you see a crackhead in the mosque, or maybe next week, whatever. Dirty, all of that. You see him a week later, you look a little bit cleaner, you got a haircut now. That's cool, whatever. You keep seeing this guy until you can't even tell him apart from everybody else. A soul has been a dead soul been arisen.
That's a fact.
I seen that time and time again, right? And Minister Farrakhan he has no dirt on him. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, he's an anti-Semite and he's a racist. I'm like, he's not. You know what I'm saying? He's not. He's critical of people. He's a religious leader, so he's critical of people in religion, Jews being one of them. But he's also critical of Christians, and he's most critical of Muslims, most critical of black people. So he have to hate everybody if you're going by that same standard. And the quote that they all try to hang their hat on is a quote from the Bible. He did not make this up. He recited something from the Bible, right? So, and he's a racist. It's like, just because he loves his people and trying to raise his people don't mean he hates people, other people. He does not.
That is a fact.
He can't call himself a man of God and hate people.
That's right.
He will tell you that himself. And what they don't see behind the scenes is how he do work with the rabbis and the Christian ministers and things of that nature. And he does work with the most religious of them. Do you think a religious Orthodox rabbi would break bread with a man that hates Jews? It's just ridiculous, you know what I'm saying? And then I have Jewish friends that have brought that up, and they speak with such hatred. I'm like, bro, it's not the case. I said, listen, I know the man. Like, I don't know him personally, but I know his teachings. I've been following it since I was 12. He's not. And he's telling me he is. Where are you getting this from? A clip from the Anti-Defamation League.
Or a Google.
It's not.
I've been a Muslim my whole entire life. And I don't know one single Muslim who has committed a crime of violence based on any religious teachings by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Specifically, have never committed no crimes against the Jewish community based on anti-Semitic rhetoric. You understand me? So what people claim and the results don't even match. Because if you have an organization where you are the head, where you have influence over black people in America at different levels of consciousness, people coming in from drug dealing, crackheads, pimps, gangsters. If you coming in there and you spitting hateful rhetoric, those people are going to go out there ignorantly, take those teachers the wrong way and commit a crime with it and believing they're doing the right thing.
It's never happened.
That's what happens when you create that atmosphere.
But it hasn't happened.
It has never happened, and it will not happen because that is not the interpretation that we receive.
Right. Here's what I would like for I'm an American, and I got white brothers and sisters, Latin brothers and sisters, Asian, whatever. But I see my white brothers and sisters fired up on Instagram, as you should be. They don't want to be told to take a vaccine, mask, whatever, right? And they have their valid reasons for whatever. They don't want their freedoms being impeded upon, and they don't trust the government. So I'm talking about white homies out there. Y'all should be fired up about what they're doing with the Minister Farrakhan, because he's a man that is making black people act right. All his teachings is refinement. You know what I'm saying? Get knowledge of self. Stay off the drugs, stay off the liquor. You know what I mean? Education. You know what I'm saying? Health. Work, duty, community. Literally all of the tenets of what one would say would be like conservative values. This is what he teaches literally. And he has no scandals behind him. Mm-hmm. This man is squeaky clean. He's a good person. When I've shown my white friends the minister without giving them the backstory, they love it. I'm like, people hate him, right? And they're like, why? And I explain, and they're pissed. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not, white, black. People say, well, why are you racial? The world's racial. It is what it is. And we didn't set it up like that. But sometimes you need like a dog to speak to a dog, a bird speak to a bird, a black man to speak to a black man. You know what I'm saying? And whenever we have one, they're not ever saying go out and harm white people.
Never.
That's foolish.
Most of the time, because number one, it's based on self-defense. When you do actually get somebody like Black Panthers or you have Malcolm X, it's always talking about stop allowing people to stump you, stop allowing people to beat you, stop allowing people to take advantage of you. Have, you understand me, some self-respect. Stand up like a man.
Right.
Take care of your family. Do for self.
Exactly.
Like, it's trying to invigorate the spirit of the man and woman who is lost found, who's mentally dead, spiritually dead, financially dead, and would be a better part of society if they decide to get knowledge of self and follow a code of ethics and conduct and a teaching. So you're not going to see the mass population of Nation of Islam members going to prison, committing crimes, being violent,
Doesn't happen.
abusive, drugs, all of those things. So you're talking about a reforming and a redeeming method. And anybody with any sense of integrity, you understand me, that considers himself to be a good person and righteous will want that for Black America.
Right. All right. Case in point. Sean, you're Middle Eastern. They're trying to make you Caucasian. They're trying to like change the census to where the Middle East, first of all, is a construct that was created in the 1900s by England and America, right? Which was just Africa and Asia Minor, right? So they said, this is now called the Middle East. Just write these lines, right? Now they're trying to change the census around, you know what I'm saying? Which they did that with the Jews as well, because they weren't considered white. They were Jewish at one point, but they seen the numbers was dropping in population. So they said, all right, these people are white now, or Caucasian. But anyway, you have face-to-face interaction with numerous people from the Nation of Islam, because they've been here, right? What impression did they leave upon you?
I think it's an organization that is setting a standard that I would personally like to see like become known throughout the entire Black community, because the very thing that was taken from Black people and in the process of slavery and the disadvantages that were placed upon them through that multiple hundreds of years of deficit, that can be corrected by doing exactly what you said, Keys, which is moving forward while acknowledging the past. Instead of being stuck in the past and looking for recognition of it, we need the Black community. I'm not saying we as in me in it, but like the Black community, I think the best thing is to have something to aspire to. Like you said, you got to have something to aspire to. And you needed someone like Elijah Muhammad, like Minister Farrakhan, to come forward and set these standards that you can want to reach for.
But more importantly, Sean, I want to hear your experience with people from the nation.
And I say
your personal experience.
I give that much of an endorsement to it because that's how pleasant my experience is that good. I feel like this is the right type of man. I haven't had as much experience with women from the nation, but that's the type of man that I want in my circle. That's the type of man that I would want to influence me and rub elbows with and be around. That's the type of man that the nation turns out. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big thing that's needed.
And here's the thing, like, Black people collectively need this lift, this someone to look up to and aspire to be like, right? And it I'm not gonna lie, man, it really hurts, like learning history and learning about our leaders who are good men, not just for Blacks, for whites too, because usually our leaders got taken out when whites start listening to them. When they're on white people radar, like, yo, that motherfucker spitting. Nah, get him out of here. Bow. You know what I'm saying? In a savage way. And then Minister Farrakhan, they can't just do that, right? It'll be a civil war. It would. And also, it would be very obvious that they did it. You know what I'm saying? Because, information travel that fast nowadays. But they can't do that, so they assassinate his character. So no one takes him serious. Look, anybody is afraid to talk about him on Instagram. They are probably like, I disassociate myself after they get calls from, whomever. You know what I'm saying?
Fear.
And that really hurts. It really hurts to see, because it's like y'all are persecuting an innocent man. And like they persecuted Jesus.
It's exactly his story. If you want to look at a story that has commonality, you go look at the story of Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, look at the story of Jesus. And it's not for me to tell it. For those who believe that they know scripture and believe in that, just study it side by side. You understand me? And see if his life compares and add up too. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan most likely won't be appreciated until he's gone. You understand me? Because most people don't even know how much he's done with his life. The Nation of Islam is not something that he inherited from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as, hey, I'm handing you over the keys to the kingdom. You know, during that time period that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's leaving in the 70s, you know, they tried to kill the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. You understand me? He had to leave and then come back, build himself up, and then start from scratch, utilizing monies that he got from his own speaking and rebuild the mosque up. Right? So you're talking about something that had fell down and then something that he built back up from scratch. So the Nation of Islam, as you see it today, is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's work, which is now a global organization that has massive influence. There's not a more powerful black man in America or in the world, period, than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And that's why the media and the government don't want to give him more power. Right? If they decided during the Million Man March, right? Muammar Gaddafi tried to give the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan $1 billion. And even though the business end was set up for him to receive it, they considered it to be treasonous and they blocked it. Right? That was during time Biden was there and the rest of them was there. Mm-hmm. And it's funny enough, Obama showed up to the Million Man March, right?
He'll never admit that, though.
Yeah, but shit, he was there. It's proof that there's a picture of him there. You know, I mean, that now the later picture came out of him, you know, meeting with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And at the time where Hillary Clinton had him renounce the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Minister Farrakhan could have easily put that picture up and be like, man, this man came and asked me for help. You understand me?
And he understood, Minister Farrakhan understood that Obama had to do that. He had to play the game.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what Americans got to realize. These politicians are not men. They're not their own men. They got to play. They're just puppets playing the game. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, even the hatred that people will have towards the president is misguided because he ain't the guy. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole bigger system behind it. And these guys are just an avatar. We need this looking guy right here this time. All right, we need an opposite guy this time. You know what I'm saying? These guys they're not really affecting your lives. You know what I'm saying? The federal government is a step or two above the monarchy in England. It's almost just a show. You know what I'm saying? What really affects us is our state, our local government. You know what I mean? This nation is a confederate. It's not a kingdom like England once was.
Oligarchy.
Right. So we have all these little separate entities of governments that govern our day to day. You know what I'm saying? County, state, city, all of that. Fed. Look, marijuana is legal, right? But it's illegal federally. Shut up, it's legal. You know what I'm saying? It's like, question this shit, y'all. You know what I'm saying? You know, and listen, y'all are going, I'm watching y'all on Instagram. People going hard. People going hard right now, right? You need to go hard for like some of the real shit too that affects us because it affects you. There's no America without blacks. It's just not.
No, we
it's
built
not.
it.
We are woven into the fabric, into the genesis of the United States of America. We've been here since before this was a country.
Yeah.
We fought in every war. Yeah. And then we had to work for free.
We were the currency, this livestock, the product of America.
Correct. And that's not, and I'm not putting that on you. Oh, well, I wasn't alive back then. No shit. I know. I'm not, because a lot of people feel like we're pointing the finger, and I'm not doing that. And listen, it is what it is. The people of that time, that was the vibe, slavery. First of all, y'all were manipulated through science. Darwinian evolution taught that we were a lower level of species. We were cattle. So it was okay. It was justified. That was taken out the books. But you could dig a little bit and you'll see how racist that his theory was. But it was all to justify colonialism, slavery, and, you know, the mass killing of indigenous people all over the world for their resources, for their shit. And that's evil. That ain't cool. Now, people over time is getting smarter and smarter. And I do think people are becoming better and better and better, right? But let's not be emotional about our feelings. Let's not be stuck in our feelings when it comes to like reality, and let's accept reality, the truth. Sometimes the truth hurts, it's painful, but let's really fucking accept that shit and come together as a nation. Because look, we all need each other. You know what I'm saying? the reason why this country is so incredible, and you can look at nations of old, you can look at Rome, the marriage that Rome and Egypt had at one point. You know what I'm saying? All great nations, they try to like spread out, right? I'm gonna marry this woman from this country, bring our families together. You know what I'm saying? And our resources, and we're that much greater. America is a melting pot of the world. That's why it's so fucking dope here. You know what I'm saying? It's a land of fucking immigrants. You know what I'm saying? Because none of us are the indigenous people of this land. They've been, you know, treated in a not so good way. But everybody's from somewhere else. That's why this place is so cool. It's so everybody want to be here. You know what I'm saying? And that makes a place really good. Just like, let's take it down to very basic animalistic levels. Dog species. Purebred dogs live shorter lives than mutts, than mixed breed dogs. You know what I'm saying? Because the purebreds never breed out the bullshit that's within its genes. You know what I'm saying? It stays there. Cancer, hip dysplasia, whatever. You know, if this dog over here, this German Shepherd, and this Dogo Argentino is some new weird cool dog, the hip dysplasia out, the cancer's out, it's on to a longer life. You know what I'm saying? But in America, we have so many cool, fucking innovative ideas and just culture that you don't find nowhere else in the world. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's because it's so diverse and so dynamic, and that shit is dope. But people...
And the diversity is cool, but I'm going to have to say, you know, the black people make America.
We are the source of culture.
Yeah. I mean, even inventive power, right? Cultural power, you understand me, which influences the rest of the world, you know. But when it comes to the spirit of the world, you gonna look to Black America. You understand me? If an alien was to visit, it's like, show me them people. Who the ones that's the influencers on this planet? It's Black Americans.
I don't think anybody,
you understand me,
can objectively deny that.
There's nothing to deny. I mean,
but here's the thing: America
couldn't be a superpower if it wasn't for Black people.
I got something for you though. So we all need each other, and I'm gonna tell you why. We're not unique in the sense that it's only Black people here, right? We're all over the world, but Black people are not producing nearly an eighth of what we're producing here in America. You know what I'm saying? And why is that? Is because we have the collaboration. We have certain things in place here that they don't have in Haiti or Jamaica or Africa, South America. You know what I'm saying? Things here in the United States mixed with their excellence and our brilliance merged together. You know, I'll never deny another people's great attributes.
No, it's not to deny them, but it's like when we look at history, we're going to look at the Egyptians and point out the Egyptians as some of the greatest people based on their inventions and their contributions as civilizations. And it's the same thing when we look at the record of the 400-year slavery and our Native American history here, and then we fast forwarded between all of the things that we've been going through and still all of the accomplishments that we have a unique story on the planet Earth. You know, and that doesn't take away from anybody else, because I believe that specifically Black Americans, or, you know, we can call it the copper color tone people, however you want to go to, we have our own story, our own uniqueness here that we don't share with any other people on the planet Earth. You understand me? And yes, it has a lot to do with the fact that coming out of slavery, you understand me, we are right there next to the ex-slave master's children, right? And there is a lot of intermingling and woven of culture, technology, capitalism, conquering, you understand me, spirituality. There is this melting pot of us influencing them influencing us. You understand me, in multiple ways. Our mind is more Caucasian than it is Afrocentric. That's just the reality that we is, but our spirit still thrives in what we do with our mind. So culturally, we still are the greatest. You know what I mean? But even physically, athletically, we still thrive in so many areas, even though if you would consider this was a small group of people when it comes to how many people in Brazil or Africa, right? But at the same time, yes, we do have resources and tools that other people on the planet Earth don't have. but we are a people of scripture. You understand me? We are a people of fulfillment. And I always want our people to have this level of confidence into understanding that we have a lot of great things that we must do on this planet Earth. We here for a reason. We went through everything for a reason, right? And if we can really hone in on that, couple that with knowledge of self, right, and inventiveness and creating our own institutions, I think that we're being born and bred to become a superpower. You understand me? It just requires that one finality of thing that we click and we get it, because genetically we have been bred to produce something great, right, from who we are. It's just our lack of unity is the only reason that we haven't done it. But every other people in America knows this, and anybody else knows this. Yo, use black people. They are the battery to make anything work.
See, we gotta, when it comes to knowledge of self, we need knowledge of self, right?
Yeah.
And there is a huge, a lots of division amongst black people.
Absolutely.
Right? And one thing that people don't really realize is that when I say the Europeans were brilliant in their scheme with slavery, it was brilliant. So in Albuquerque, and I hate saying Africa, that's not the name, there were a bunch of black people that just because we black, we don't know each other, we don't speak the same language. It was a lot of that. And they would purposefully mix us here in the States amongst tribes who didn't speak the same language. So from the outside looking in, it's like a bunch of the same people, but it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Completely different tribes, different customs, different languages, cultures, and all of that. So, you know, and then on the plantation, there was a huge divide and conquer strategy that was brilliant. Treating some people good, treat some people like shit, and rewarding the ones who told on the people that they treated like shit. And also using these guys to whip them. The crackers, if y'all don't know what a cracker is he who whipped cracked the whip on a plantation. And they weren't white, they were black. There was a white cracker or manager here and there, but for the most part, they would use blacks to whip blacks. Divide and conquer. Now you hate that nigga. Hate that nigga. That's what they did, you know what I'm saying? Over and over and over and over and over. So we got to get out of that cycle. And one thing that the Nation of Islam did back when, in its genesis and its origin, it was telling a black man, yo, rise up, you're a god. You're not a nigga. They niggas, you're a god. You know what I'm saying? And we needed that kind of talk because we had no self-esteem. Black man was crushed. You know what I'm saying? We was nothing. We had nothing. The families were destroyed. You know, the 80s, the Clintons did a number on us. The Clintons did a number on us. Y'all hear that? Hillary, Bill, they did a number on us. You know what I'm saying? And I lived through the 80s and the 90s in New York. It was New York was a third world country. It was what you consider as far as poverty and crime. And you go there now,
Heroin and crack.
It's just mind blowing how nice it is now. I would have never thought it would be the way it is now.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? People that know New York right now, you don't know New York 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 30 years ago. You don't know that world. It was not the vibes. Rats big as cats. Certain time of the year, you know what to expect. Damn. I'd have had mice run up my leg, up my pants. You know what I'm saying? That was normal. You get to school, open your book, there's roach wings in your book. You open your bread at home to make some toast. It's a hole going all the way through because a roach done ate through.
Oh my God.
You turn on the light at night. You turn on the light at night. Listen,
oh my God.
Turn on the light at night. Go in the kitchen, turn on the light, get something to drink. Infestation of roaches. They running. You think you kill everything. The next night is more. This is what I grew up in. This was. You talk about poverty right here in America. So they did a number on us. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of poor white people too, and we all got the same enemies. You know what I'm saying? If you watch, what was the Fred Hampton movie called? Judas Messiah?
Yeah, Judas and the Black Messiah.
Judas and the Black Messiah. You seen the Black Panthers and was it the skinheads or Klansmen or whatever, whoever, they got together and they was like, they talking like, yo, we all on the same shit. We all in the same struggle. I ain't mad at you, you ain't mad at me. All right, cool. Let's unify. You know what I'm saying? So the divide and conquer goes way beyond the plantation and the inner cities. It's all between everybody.
That's key. you go back to Marcus Garvey, and Marcus Garvey had a relationship with the Ku Klux Klan. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad met with the Ku Klux Klan because, number one, you're talking about a people trying to get back to self-determinism, not depending on the government. You understand me? Not depending on these shadow governments or elite structures or even people that get away from constitutional governing. Because a lot of the things that they're doing nowadays has nothing to do with the Constitution, right? It's a fraud, right? And these are the things that you see where you have the outcries of, school shootings started because of that, because of what happened on Waco incident. You understand me? Timothy McVeigh was sitting there watching the government go in there and firebomb and kill all these men, women, and children who were living, you understand me, in sovereignty on their own property. But America doesn't allow you as a corporation, because that's what America is, to go try to set up your own sovereign situation. But they didn't have constitutional law to be able to do that, so they illegally went over there and killed these folks. Right. So then you had Timothy McVeigh watching, said that, he seen that incident was horrific, that was domestic terrorism. So he decided to do something himself to make noise. You understand me? And he decided to go blow up a government building in the Oklahoma City bombings, which he wasn't the first person to do that. He was inspired by some other white boys who did that. Then he went and did that. And they asked him, because they said it was 19 children that died in that incident. And he said, well, what about the thousands of children y'all kill in Iraq? Isn't it the same thing? You understand me? And here he making political points and statements on why he was doing it. And when you go into the nuances of a lot of these characters that commit these terrorist acts, they're fighting against the government. They're fighting against what they consider to be an oppressive regime and power structure.
Government tyranny.
You understand me? And the banking institutions and all these other unconstitutional things. So once you get down to it, the people that are poor and downtrodden, they have the same enemy. Once you realize who the enemy is.
Right.
The people that have the power to do and that continue to keep you oppressed. So once you get into these systems, and that's why I talk about institutions, because a government is an institution. You understand me? And once you really understand what is the good for the people and you start talking about family building, you want to protect the morals, the sanctity, and the code of that family. So whether it's an Arab family, a Middle Eastern, right, or a white family or an Asian family, they're going to want to protect those morals and not have unconstitutional governing over the morals and the sanctity of their family. So they're going to have commonality when they decide to talk to each other. Like, I don't like that law either. I don't like that new ordinance they put in either. That don't make no sense. All right, well, let's go do something about it. Right. But if you make people only observe through racial consciousness, that's one of the lowest levels of observation, because it puts you in a state of judgment. Right. And it doesn't allow those people to ever bridge, come together, and connect. And they've destroyed the number one hour people we observe each other through racial consciousness, but it's a difference between when I see a white man that then you see a black man. You don't automatically see that black man as your brother. And you also don't automatically see that white man as your enemy, but sometimes you see that white man as aspirational and your brother as an enemy more times than not. You understand me? So we become the bullies of each other. The minute Dr. Wesley talked about, it's called the coon bully, right? We couldn't bully them, so we started bullying each other. You understand? Become the loud thug archetype, and we wanted to be tough somewhere, so that's what we decided to be tough with, was each other, because you ain't got no power, so I'm going to exert power over you. But when the real so-called enemy come about, whether it's the police that come in and say, hey, boy, what you doing over here? Or they just treat you out any kind of way, your whole gangster demeanor disappears and then reappears when you're dealing with your bruh. Somebody that look like you who you know don't have power. But when it come dealing with them, I'm compliant. You understand me? All of a sudden, I'm following the rules. So we have a lot of psychological damage, subconscious, conscious things that we have to deal with in order to break those barriers. But on the solution front, I love to see what I believe is the change, is seeing the archetype of new thought leadership coming about, and cats from the street wanting to get more knowledge and wanting to get more access. I get people hit me all the time, bro, I just joined the nation. I just did this. I just got my life together. I just changed this, because I'm going to intentionally put out an example of aspirational for you to be able to see somebody who grew up in the same conditions as you, but decided to have self-determination, decided to focus on self-knowledge, decided to build themselves up, decided to not take the excuse route, but to always find a strategy and an option to believe in myself and do for self. And that means a lot when it comes to another young man looking at you and be like, damn, Keys, you're right. I like the way you talk, I like the way you think, man. You get me thinking about life differently. You got me on technology and financial literacy and like working out and eating. And I went thinking about nootropics and I went thinking about all this God stuff and the way the world. You got to give people access to a different mind for them to download that information. And that's what our people have been deprived of so much. And that's what has made us repeat the slave cycle because we never had the mastermind.
But here's the thing, like you said, I really appreciate what you just said, what you broke down. Very eloquent, concise, and is really what's needed. And you know, it is what it is. We are of those people who are being that light, that example for those who need it, for whomever needed here. You're here, right? So, and it's like, I'm teaching people, you're teaching financial literacy, right? I'm teaching people to be healthy and showing them how to do it and giving them tactics. We both are doing the same. We both are doing an angelic work from different angles. It is all needed. And what people need, like, each man needs and woman needs, you know, to hold themselves accountable for their situation, because like you said, you know, you look back but move forward, but the key thing is to move forward. You know what I'm saying? So you're never to sit complacent and, man, I can't because, well, if they didn't do this, I'd be here by now. That sounds stupid. I never want to hear nobody talk like that. And some people think that I'm kind of harsh when I'm talking to some of my folks, but I'm harsh because I fucking love you. You know what I'm saying? I care about you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing. So when I tell, like I've been talking to the young fellas a lot lately about, you know what I'm saying, they chasing women and they having all these complaints about women. Stop chasing them and get your life together, get your shit together. You know what I'm saying? When you grow into your higher self and that real divine masculinity, those women will come to you in a very submissive, loving way, and you have whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? But it starts with you. It ain't this person's fault, her fault, oh, they're unrealistic, whatever. Y'all think y'all know women and y'all don't. You know what I'm saying? So get what women love and what people love and admire is ambitious people, strong people. You know what I'm saying? Getting their life. When you in shape, easy, in shape, you walk into a room, a meeting, people gonna treat you different versus you having a belly hanging over your pants. You know what I'm saying? They're still gonna deal with you if you're excellent in something that you do, but imagine if it's all tight. You know what I'm saying? So, and these are things that you have control over. You have control over how much money is in your bank account.
That's a fact.
Keith, how many people you think became millionaires over this past 2 years they use this pandemic as motivation and time to really study and think and figure this shit out? How many people you think became millionaires over the past 2 years?
I would say just in my circle, I know dozens. You understand me? But throughout the world, thousands.
Man,
you understand
but
me?
Hold on.
Thousands.
In your circle,
yes,
you know dozens.
Just
you know
in my circle.
I was having a conversation, shout out to Clubhouse, on my Clubhouse this morning, and they're telling me, like, what ain't realistic? I'm like, look, my circle is all millionaires.
Yeah.
My circle. It wasn't like that 3 years ago,
but
4 years ago.
Realistic is one of the worst words. You understand? Because realistic shouldn't even exist. That word shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
You understand me? Because number one, I tell people all this all the time, man. I just use a simple example. You know what I mean? I ask a person, how large is your brain? You understand me? 7, 9 ounces, right? It has a limit on how much it can grow. But we still believe that the brain has this immense amount of processing power to do amazing things. Can't be duplicated.
There's no computer
right?
as powerful as our brain.
None. We still haven't even went to the depths of what the brain can do.
We understand more about astrophysics than the human brain.
Absolutely. And so even when we judge ourselves by like, damn, I got a brain, well, that means I can do a lot. But then we can go beyond that. Ask a person, what's the size of your mind? It's infinite. Like, the mind, we don't have a condensed idea of the mind. We believe that the mind is the all. It's attached to everything. So the thought becomes, whether the mind is infinite, how do you not believe in yourself in that same capacity? Because nothing about the mind is realistic. You can't even decide whether the mind is in the brain or outside the body.
People give their devotion and their belief to religious deities, right? To whatever God that they subscribe to, right? They believe in something that they can't prove. But like you said, they don't believe in themselves.
That's a fact.
And you are very important to you, yourself, and everyone in your life. So why would you not believe? I have what y'all would consider unrealistic expectations of myself. People ask me all the time. It's funny when people come to the house.
But they realistic though.
They come to the house, they be like, "This is a nice house." I'm like, "Nah, just wait till next year." You know what I'm saying? So it's like I have, and this is not. You can change how you think, because I get the people who give me the, "I'm average." You know, most people are average. The term average exists for a reason. I'm like, but you don't. I'm still positive with them. I'm like, but you don't have to be average.
It exists for those who believe it. Because
in a state.
But see, that's the beauty of the mind. If your mind decides it wants to be an average mind, it is, because that's how powerful it is.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You can put the limits on it.
Yeah.
But if the mind decides you want to be above average, that's what it becomes. I know people have all heard about. I sent out a text earlier today, because I sent it out to the people that's on my text line. I got thousands of people. And the text today was about, my father told me something a long time ago. If you want something, say it out loud to the universe. Give it shape, vibration, and it will become formed, right? And I believe that's necessary, because once you understand that, the thought travels faster than the speed of light. You understand me? And when you can take that amount of energy that you have from a thought, and then you understand Einstein's formula of E equals MC squared, you can take something that exists in one reality and bring it into another. Everything starts in the mind, then in the reality. It forms twice. So in that capacity, most people are just they're not matching the frequency of what they want, and they never will, right? Everything has a frequency. And it can be broken down in an arithmetic to truly understand it. I've done this with my own life, right? I've studied physics and metaphysics and wrote down formulas for what I wanted to produce. And then I didn't spend time overthinking the formula. I spent time executing the formula. And that's where most people get caught up. They get caught up in a metaphysical realm instead of making it a physical realm. And that's where I differ and most people differ. They have a thought and idea, then they go execute. Right. So there are too many people that don't know. And there's this letter that's called "Take It the Letter to Garcia," right? Mm. And this letter to Garcia talks about it was during wartime. I forget the war at the time, but this soldier was given a task. He needed to go take this letter to this General Garcia, right? It was going to help with the war effort, right? So General told him, look, take this letter to Garcia. Now, at the time, there were so many barriers for him to go where he needed to go. He didn't even ask who Garcia was, where it was, how he was going to get there. He just went and took the letter. Took the letter, delivered it to Garcia. They was like, they didn't realize how hell he did it. He just know he got it done. But it speaks on his mindset, right? That now men today don't know how to take that letter. There's so many barriers, so many excuses, problems, issues, insecurities, things that get in the way from saying that I got the instruction, I'm going to execute the mission. Oh, you gave me a little information? I'll Google the rest. Or I'll go ask them. I'm going to find it. There's nothing that's going to get in my way from me executing. And when we have a society of more individuals that just simply know how to go and get it done, then that's when we start to see people who believe things are more realistic.
The most attractive people in society, to a culture, are capable people. Capable people. People who just go and get it done, make it happen.
That's
you know
a
what I mean?
fact.
So,
that's the whole point, bro. Because not to cut you off, but those are the type of people you want in your organization, in your circle.
Right.
You talk to somebody about something, you present an idea, and they go execute it. Those are the people that are the most sought after people on the planet Earth.
Listen, with me and this guy's business relationship, we're brothers, we're friends for real, but we have a really deep business relationship too. Shit all goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's an expert at nutrition, and he loves the chemistry side of it, right? So we'll have a product that we need to give some life to, get some sales on, get people some understanding of it. I'm not asking him, what is this about? I don't know chemistry like him, but guess what? I see what he's put together right here, and I go and I research it myself. You know what I'm saying?
That's the way.
And I deliver it, and we do good. We
deliver that
kill
letter.
It. We kill it. We deliver the letter. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying hey, bro, I need to take a class before I do it. Nah. Let's go. Let's go. Because here's the thing. I look at life in a very interesting way in which I wish more people did. Like, people are just people. Like, your doctor's just a dude. The cop is a dude. The teacher's a dude or chick. And I remember one time going to the doctor, like, you know, I have a habit of, if I have to go to the doctor about something, I research what it is, and I have an idea of what they need to do. And there's been several times when I'm there, when they're getting their book, and I'm telling them what it is. And they'll, oh, yeah. I've suggested things that they didn't think about. And I'm not saying I'm smarter than a doctor at their field. I'm not. But I'll research that specific thing right there that they may have glanced over a year or two ago, however long ago. It's very fresh on my mind. And I give it to them, and it's accurate because the information is at all of our disposals. It's how bad you want it. How bad you want to make 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. You can do it. Look, Donald Trump was just the president. Before him, Barack Hussein Obama was the president. That's what I love about this country. Anybody can make anything happen. It's going to be hard. I ain't saying the road ain't going to be rough, but fuck it. Who don't want that challenge?
Yeah.
Who don't want that challenge? And when you go through that road, that heroic fucking journey, that road, and you come out and you ain't dead, you're fucking incredible. You a superhero. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You've learned so much. You've met so many people along the way, and you've tapped into that higher self. You know what I'm saying? And you're not a regular person no more.
And the thing people have to realize is that experts aren't born; they're made.
They're made.
That's a fact.
You have to take the steps, and it always starts with one. And so half the time with the people who are professionals at something, whether it's boxing or whether it's nutrition or financial literacy or anything, if they're a professional, I mean, it's their profession, meaning they are paid to do it. It may or may not be a certain credential, but most of what you've learned over time is how to interpret information in that field. And so it doesn't matter if someone brings forward a new ingredient that I've never heard of. It doesn't matter if I've heard of it or not. It's only going to take me a minute to learn about it. And anyone can take those steps. And then you accumulate that knowledge, and then you can put more knowledge on your knowledge, and then you start really being able to compound it. And that's the same thing that you can do in any industry, in any field. You just have to take a few steps forward. Like you said, you come to, and people who come to a professional with more information, they're going to be treated differently too.
Absolutely.
So when you come to the doctor already speaking their language, or you already know some things, then but you still respect their ability to interpret what you're going to tell them. Hey, this is what I think. They're going to treat you way different than they would someone who's just like, my stomach hurts. I have no other information to share with you other than my stomach hurts. You're like, hey, this is the things in my lifestyle that could be causing it. You've already like done half their job. Now they can give you even better advice. They're gonna be, oh, let me take this seriously.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Well, they can give you the right prescription. They can give you the right remedy for whatever your issue is. The more you know, because a lot of the times it's guesswork with doctors. That's what people don't realize.
It's a practice. It's not.
And all roundabout.
And for the record, all science is nothing's precise. Science changes all the time. It's not exact.
Science is art. It really is art.
It is.
We try and make a big distinction between the two, but it's really art.
Science is a religion.
And here's the subjectivity of it. I write my thesis. Here's my studies, and here's my tests. I got to give it to peers to give them to review, to see their opinion.
And if they can't disprove it, then it now gets lodged into history as a new scientific paradigm.
And even Einstein, his shit, the theory of relativity, is a lot of that has been pulled apart, completely, and that's Einstein. You know what I'm saying? So everything is at our interpretation, but you should lean on the side of the most solid pieces of evidence, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To make informed decisions on certain things.
But it is dangerous getting caught up in concrete law.
Correct.
You understand me? Things that you have determined to just be 100%.
Right.
And mostly because you're too lazy to investigate to see if there are other opportunities or realms, or sometimes things even go against intuition. It's like when we think about space, from a standpoint of having experience with space, nobody on Earth does. So everything is based on someone else's information, formulas, ideas, philosophies. You understand me? Astronomy is mostly philosophy mixed with mathematics. You understand me? Because there's no way that you can experiment to find out if it's real, right? There's no human being on the planet Earth that's ever done space travel.
Right.
Yet we can tell you about what's happening in far distant black holes in different universes.
Or they say that they have records of the Big Bang, of that explosion.
They don't have
and
no records.
The expansion of the government of the universe is expanding as we speak. Okay.
Now,
Okay.
You know, so they
I
say
don't, certain things though, bro, I don't care.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter to
I
me.
like
but
the
I'm like,
idea
okay.
of that. You know why? Because I look at it like this: the universe is supposed to be expanding based on where light reaches, right? So wherever light hasn't reached, that's where the expansion. Now, whatever is beyond that border is, I guess, non-existence, right? But the idea that I like to think of an analogy and a metaphor with human beings, because it's the same thing with our minds. Whenever there's new light and information and knowledge that reaches a different region in our brain, that's when we become expanded. And then you can't contract from that expansion, right? And so when the analogy of I may be a sun in my universe, but whatever my light doesn't reach us, there's the reason that justifies the existence of the other stars. They have to reach in those areas.
Right.
So I'm always, I'm looking to cover the light where there's darkness, or looking to expand the mind, you understand me, where it needs to be expanded, and to give enlightenment to those minds. That's what the keys is all about. So I like the metaphor of the universe. You understand me? I just believe that a lot of it is, guesswork, like astrology.
Right. Nah, and I know a handful of scientists, and I ask my questions, and I I try to ask questions as juvenile as possible so I can really understand. Explain it to me. You know what I mean? What does that mean? I'm always saying I should write a book called "What Does That Mean?" Because that's my most commonly asked question. You know what I'm saying? So, and sometimes we get somewhere I'm like, all right, that's cool. Like, no, I don't understand, but it's cool. It's all right. It doesn't matter. Even listen. I had a ridiculous shout out to the homie Willie North Pole. We had this ridiculous conversation about the Earth being flat, right? And I'm like, you know what? I don't even care. For all I know, it could be triangle. I would not know. All I can go off is what they say.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know. And I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm cool. I like it the way it is.
Yeah.
Octagon, whatever. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? So we don't really know. And it's funny, people so vehemently firm on everything. It's like, you don't know. But what we do know, what we do control is us, our lives, our health, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, all of that shit. Our relationships with our friends and loved ones, things that affect us on a day-to-day basis. These are the things that we should be putting our energy into. You know what I'm saying? I got a homegirl, Jennifer. That's my dog. She about to have a baby. Shout out to Jen. You are a vessel of life, and that's beautiful. But we talked on the phone today. I was like, yo, you be going hard on social about the mask and the vaccines. I know. I said, it don't even matter. Like, I don't even care if people do it or not. I said, then what you doing? She said, I don't know. I just get caught up in it. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we do, though. That's normal. Like, people get caught up in the shit. And it's like I don't even give a fuck. When motherfuckers ask me on the Q&A, like, are you vaccinated? I'm like, hey, that's like a medical question. That's weird to ask me that. You know what I'm saying? I would never ask you anything medically. I don't, that's not my business. You know what I'm saying? Normalize people respecting people's privacy. You know what I'm saying? That's what we should be normalizing. You know what I'm saying? So, and what people do, I don't care.
I've always been the type of person, specifically with my platform, is I always lay out concretely what my stance is. Mm-hmm. So, and I built up my brand in a particular way to where you already going to know where I stand on certain things. Mm-hmm. So it becomes redundant to ask 19 Keys, what is his stand on this thing? That's 19 Keys. Right? But at the same time, I do believe in, educating people, you understand me, so they can make the best decisions for themselves,
right?
And then further educating people to let them know what's happening around them. Mm-hmm. We live in a world where a large 90% of the world is ignorant to what the 10% is doing. Mm-hmm. You understand me? One hand don't know what the other hand is doing. And that's probably one of the bigger issues, especially if you're in a field where you're trying to uplift people. Even if you're in a health field, and you can educate people on their personal experience, but then you can also educate them on, what's going on in the world with the food science and agriculture and different things that are happening to give them better ways to take care of themselves, right? It's like I was talking at InvestFest, shout out to EYL, and I was on the stage with Jim Jones and Styles P, and Styles P went in, and because they started talking about health, and I started talking about the fact that, number one, most people don't understand food at all, right? Don't know what inflammation is, what causes mucus, or how the immune system works. None of the things that actually deal with the human body. Right? The things that we deal with the most, we know least about. We 70 to 90% water, we know nothing about it. We have to follow constitution and laws and order, we know nothing about it. We have to exist on money and financial rules and regulations, we know nothing about it. We get all our information from news sources and media, we know nothing about it. You understand me? But we would know a lot about a celebrity gossip topic, a shade room post, the craziest things. So the average person is not even equipped to make decisions for themselves because they know nothing about the real world that they live in which they have to abide by the rules.
Right.
So when it comes to like health, back to the point, you know, you watch, or you might not watch Sing Soul Food, but you seen Soul Food, right?
Yeah.
In Soul Food, Big Mama had to chop her leg off, right? Because Big Mama, I believe she had diabetes. Type 2 diabetes. After they chopped her leg off, they went and ate the same food that Big Mama served. Nothing in the movie pointed to the fact that the food gave her diabetes. You understand me? And so they eating soul food, and soul food historically gives you what? The itis. You get tired, man, I'm gonna go to sleep after this food. But the itis is a suffix for inflammatory disease. Hepatitis, arthritis, you understand me? But we never made those connections. We thought it was a celebration. Not realizing because we were never taught to eat the right foods, we've been creating inflammation and chronic disease within our body the whole entire time, and our body is fighting us for it. You understand me? And we celebrating killing ourselves. So when you start to make people conscious of what they're doing to themselves, and you connect it to culture, and you make people think in roundabout ways, it allows them to become more self-aware and start to make better decisions for themselves, right? So my intervention with people is just to give them enough awareness to make better decisions, because I can't make it for you.
Right. No, that's real, bro. That's solid. And you know, you said that you make your position very well known, so people don't have to ask you questions. And there's certain things that, you know, yeah, I speak about, but there's a lot that I don't. And there's a lot of things that I don't have the information, or I haven't dove into the research yet to do that. And then there's a lot of things that I'm just like on the fence about, and I'm like, you decide. You know what I'm saying? Because I do want people to think for themselves. But you're right. People are, it's funny because people don't want the government telling them this and that, but they need it to an extent, some people. You know what I'm saying? People need their hands held and like, come over here, go over here, walk up there, eat that, drink that, go to sleep now. You know what I'm saying? Some people do need that. However, I'm cool with the freedom to eat soul food and kill yourself.
Now, question: is it a freedom?
What's that?
Because
having the freedom to eat healthy or eat bad?
Yeah, because for most people, they don't have the education to be aware of what they're doing to themselves. So they're just a slave to environment and habits.
It's a freedom because they do have the ability. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to go to the library. When I didn't have a computer, I go to the library to use a computer. You know what I'm saying? I was poor. Couldn't afford a computer, but the library is free. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, yeah, it's freedom.
Environment, because it gets to a point where you get so ingrained in your habits, it's very hard to change.
That's not my fault.
That neuroplasticity of changing
fault.
Habits. No, it's not.
Yeah.
But then you really become a slave of self. So even when you may be exposed to information, it's too late. I'm so ingrained in this, and I'm so busy trying to survive my regular life, I don't have time to produce an effective change.
Actually, it's not ever too late because of neuroplasticity.
It's never too late.
It's just not realistic that the older people get, they will change.
Yeah, because your brain becomes more plastic.
Do those, those things over and over to create those new habits. People don't.
That requires environment. You understand me? That requires new information. That requires you really stretching yourself. Like there's processes that person has to go through to really start to change their brain function.
I'm gonna say this,
and then you got marketing and corporations and all these things to reinforce habits and environment.
True, and I'm gonna say this. Maybe this will wake some people up, even with the marketing of corporations. We're a corporation and we market shit, but don't watch it. Know that it's marketing.
That's tricky though, because you go watch cinema, you go listen to music, but there's subconscious marketing, there's all sonic marketing, there's pregnant marketing. So you market to a woman, she's a child and she's pregnant, she eats food. There's a certain percentage, I think it's like 60-70% of children are going to grow up and eat the same junk foods.
But here's the thing though, reprogram yourself. What was that, T? You all right? Reprogram yourself. We can all reprogram ourselves. I reprogrammed myself. You have to have the
knowledge of reprogramming and the environment of reprogramming.
You can go and find that environment.
Listen, I'm 100% with you. Yeah. I'm just saying that the average person.
I'm giving it to the average person.
Yeah. Because I guess they go watch it anyway. If you watching this, you ain't the average person.
The average person, even if you find yourself in average situations and you watching this, I'm telling you, you don't got to stay average.
No.
You don't have to. All right. Because I be saying this all the time. All right. If you're average, what can you do about it? I don't want to say it because they hear me saying it. Oh, it's easy for you to say. What do you do about it if you're in an average situation? I'm asking y'all.
Oh, you talking about me?
Yeah.
Oh well, shoot. I mean, that's almost a trick question for me. I'm always gonna do the above average thing.
I mean, but I tell you, you start where you are, acknowledge where you are, and attack one area at a time to make things that are deficient into things that are talents or that you're exceptional at, and you can do that. You can do it one at a time. You can take these areas and you can make that your weaknesses into your strengths if you choose to.
You can study somebody in that particular area who has done what you want to do. You understand me? And you can follow that blueprint. The information and the access already exist everywhere. You understand me? So like you said, you went to the library, you used the internet, you focus on your strengths, you double down on those. Because those are the things you have power over. Your resources, your talent, you understand me, and your access, right? What does your resources provide and allow you to do right now? The only thing you can control is the right now, right? What are my talents? What am I naturally good at, right? What can I actually utilize as a value to exchange for the things that I want, right? If somebody wants $1 million, but they don't have $1 million in value to exchange right now. And that value can be information you have, skill set you have, access you have, right? A work ethic that you have to build up. So for me, it's about immediate access, resources, talents, and skills. You understand? I mean, if I want $100 million right now, I have to assess my environment. That's an above average goal. So how can I go about a journey of utilizing my access, skills, and resources, increasing my access to skills and resources to be able to get $100 million, right? Because I obviously can't do it tomorrow, but there's somebody in a position, they want $100 million, they could do it tomorrow, right? So if I wanted to say I want 1,000, I could do that tomorrow. 10,000, you could do that tomorrow. So for me, it's about, reassessing, creating a plan based on my skills, my access, my resource, and then executing off those until I have greater access, skills, and resources, which allow me to continue to go above my averages that I'm currently at.
Right. So moral of the story, kids, acknowledge your place and your position and where you're at, and then take a step. And then the next day, take another step. And it doesn't stop from there. Just don't ever stop. You might not do it next week, next month, next year, but every day you're trying to take these little steps. That shit adds up. It compounds, like Sean said earlier, it compounds and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And you look back a year later like, damn, last year I was only making this.
Yeah.
Or damn, last year I weighed 230 last year. I'm 215 now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Small incremental changes is all you need, but be consistent about it. And love yourself enough to get out of the situation that you're in if you don't like it. Or don't complain. Don't complain.
That's a big one.
But on that, we got to go. The homie, shout out to Sean Shadaf, fighting tonight, his first professional MMA fight. That's my baby bro. About to knock some heads off, so we got to get ready for that. But we'll holler at y'all next time. Peace.